back on the 440. Today's the day. I'm going to get into a little bit of grinding, a little bit of polishing. See if we can get this thing back together. You guys look at these ports before I get started. Overall nice starting out, but it's kind of got like a lip around the outer edge. It's kind of strange for a cylinder that's so nice. Intake port's kind of the same way. I don't know if the camera will pick it up, you can see it or not, but kind of odd. The casting on the cylinder is really slick. Again, refer back to how well this thing performed. That's not polished, but there's no rough texture to that at all. So a lot of the theories a lot of us have and a lot of the things a lot of us do, I'm starting to question the more and more saws that I pull apart. Again, inside of the transfer pockets, not polished, but really daggone smooth. One of the smoothest casting cylinders I've seen. So I'm going to probably do the exhaust port first. Finished cylinder. I think we done got the exhaust port uppers. Basically what I've done with the lowers is get a good texture on them. All in all, everything turned out really good. We got the floor of that intake perfectly flat. I tried to show some of that. I don't know how well it's going to turn out. Like a cat's tongue texture on that. But you can see the shape of it. Yeah, it's turned out pretty good. Well, hey guys, welcome back. It's the next day. Last night I put the crank seals in the saw and got the cylinder on it and buttoned up a few other things. I did video some of that, so I'll throw all that in right here. Bevel always goes up on your rings. Lower ring on first. Start it in the groove, walk it bevel up. Just an installation tools, use these. Some cylinders you don't have to, these you usually do. Or I do anyway. I'll see some guys use their fingernails. I'll actually see them put their glue on and then work the rings in with their nails. Some cylinders, if they have skirts and openings, you can do that, but a cylinder like this, using the proper tools. Carburetor Moto Seal, you want to use some kind of engine assembly silicone when doing a base gasket delete. It really needs to be fuel resistant. If it's like an epoxy base like Durco or something, that's fine, because we all know epoxy's fuel resistant, or in most cases, but don't use just plain old Permatex. I've gotten saws here from other people, other builders, that had used like ultra gray or something, and it may work for a little bit, but it don't work in the long term. It will eventually start leaking and cause an air leak because it's not fuel resistant. And I've had people argue in the comments that so and so said to use this, so and so said to use that. I don't care what other people do. I'm telling you from my experience, you won't. It's not even that much more. Just use a thin amount, paint it on both surfaces, and knock on wood, I've yet to have failure from it. Drop in our cylinder bolts. You will not get these in once the cylinder's down on there, I promise you. Just want to say I can do it. I doubt it though. That one there's not going to be easy to get in with the cylinder loose. Alright, now I want to push the intake boot halfway through. Get it on through once we get the cylinder on. Crisscross pattern. These bolts have the it's like a self-made lock washer, I guess, on the underside of the bolt head, like little grooves cut in it. Alright, feeling good. Pretty tighter than they was when they come out. Maybe. Can't break those things. Alright, that should be good. Got a tool here I've made. I hope it works on this. This don't end up being a nightmare to get out. That's all there is to it. You get that locked in around it. And what I done, I don't think I got it on camera, but I kind of laid this in here for leverage. Got it in there, a little twist, a little pressure. They usually pop right out. So this saw either has a lot of slack in the keyway or flywheel, or somebody's done a little bit of a timing advance. Did have a muffler mod. You guys seen the video, ran really good. So to get the crank seal out of this side, you've got to take the dust cover off with chain brake hardwire. Your chain brake band itself has to come out, oil pump has to come out, of course. The reason being the chain brake band comes off is because of this, kind of like a 372, but the 440s of this series of saw have this sleeve that goes in, kind of just like a 372 if you've not been in one, but there's no O-ring in these, which I don't use an O-ring on a 372. I just glue it, which is what Stihl recommends you do here. When you go back together, let's hope this seal pops out. It's hard as a rock as well. Of course, it's going to be a pain. It's coming slowly. We'll probably get a bigger screwdriver in on that. And there it is. Hard as a rock. So that would explain why once you've been around 30 minutes or so, it's kind of went to getting lazy. They go to starving for fuels, whatever. Seal driver, new seal on. I ain't got but one chance here because any extra seals to fit one of these, but looks like we got the first no need for like the Coke can trick or using any kind of sleeve on this series of saw, because of course the flywheel side's tapered. I did lube it up before I put it in, and this one uses that sleeve like I've shown you, like a 372. Alright, with that out of the way, I wasn't going into a deep how-to, mainly just showing the stuff going on the saw. So what we're going to get into today is, all I like is the new fuel line strainer, replacing the diaphragms in the carb, doing a clean on it, and putting the carb back on the saw, and she'll be ready to fire up for the first time after the port work and the rebuild. So let's get to that. Alright, should be as simple as pulling this fuel line out. These kind of lock in place. Strainer came off already, and they should not pull up out of there that easy. That thing's super soft and almost cracked down here on the end. New OE fuel line. I really need to set up an account with Stihl and an account with Husqvarna where I can get this stuff a little easier. Sometimes it can be difficult to source. That's the newer style line that's supposedly safe with today's fuels. And if you don't know, that line's going to drop in just like that. You always want this to hang down toward the back of the tank, but you usually have to kind of fish it around once you get it pushed down in the tank. Alright, we got that pushed down in. Now what we have to do is go in and grab it and give it a tug. Alright, get a new strainer on. I ain't gonna lie, that line was a pain to get pulled down into the tank. Those new OEM lines fit tight, really tight. That's what you want. You don't want to air leak by the, you don't want to lose tank pressure by the fuel line. You want it tight. There we go. And right there's how that line wraps around. It's got a little notch that slides back into. and you'll know it's good and intact there. Alright guys, carburetor. Put some new diaphragms in, give it a cleaning. Wow. They've never been apart. It wasn't awful, but wasn't like a new one either. But this thing tuned in a little extra fuel and ran pretty good. So. Looks fairly clean inside so far. My frame not really stiff, but it's seen better days. It's a little wrinkly. Just do a freshen up. Kind of dirty in that side though. A lot of fines in there. Okay guys, gasket first and diaphragm. Gasket first, diaphragm, and lay it on the carb. And put your screw back in. Got a freshened up carburetor. This ain't a how to, but somebody might want to know how that stuff goes. That lever, I didn't show that. I don't think I showed popping it out either, but it just has a little bitty groove right there. You set it in, take a little screwdriver, and it'll snap right in. You can look at it and plainly see how it works. It will go into the grommet on the top of the carburetor. Usually go in really easy. Just make sure that it does. If this is a clone saw you're working on, this is not. This is the real deal. Some things don't fit quite as well as they should, but what that is, it's going into your compensation port of the carburetor. And what that does, say your air filter gets clogged up, it keeps that metering diaphragm, and it keeps things in check. It keeps it from being over-rich. It keeps it at an optimal air-fuel ratio, if that makes sense, as things get dirty. But come on guys, you should always, at least every now and then, you know, pull the air filter cover, blow your air filter out. Right here in the shop for one of these saws. Don't have to locate it because I'm about to, I don't know if we'll be anytime soon get into my old school 044. I'd like to get that thing done sooner than later. Took air hose to the air filter. Got it looking real nice. Covered. And this thing, I put that little grommet in off camera that goes over here. Alright guys, she's probably gonna smoke. I did fill the crankcase cylinder full of assembly lube and spun it over with a drill a bunch last night. So yeah, she's probably gonna smoke like a freight train, which that's good. But yeah, she got more compression than she's had before. Alright guys, I'm going to call that a win. That white oak just does not slow that saw down any at all. And if you couldn't tell by when I was starting it in the video, she's got some thump to her. You got to get that one up on TDC and yank it. No decomp, no provision for a decomp, so it's just, you know, you've got to manhandle it and start it. But and as the rings completely seat in, that cranking compression is going to come on up a little bit. But I'll put a little more time on this, give it a good once over, good cleaning, and try to get this one shipped back to its owner. But anyway guys, thank you all for watching and following this. Remember, if you don't care, give us a thumbs up if you made it this far. I really appreciate it. I hope y'all have a good one.